We've been running the iOS 10 developer preview on an iPhone 6s for a little more than a day, and we've had the Android N preview loaded on our Nexus 5X since its initial availability. Looks like it's time for a showdown, gauging the state of betas between Apple and Google. Over the last several years, we've watched these two mobile operating systems meet in the middle, so to speak. Very generally speaking, Android has been getting prettier, while iOS has been adding deeper functionality. Now playing with iOS 10, it would seem that trend continues. Starting off with just basic navigation, Google and Apple betas aren't like other companies' betas. While neither should be expected to perform at the same stability as a finished consumer-facing release, both Android N and iOS 10 perform well with few lags or stutters. Both phones now respond to gestures like being picked up. We get a simplified high-contrast view on Android, which wakes to full color on a screen press. Apple instead goes bright with the lock screen, giving you full-color notifications and widgets. iOS 10 now uses a slide to launch the camera without unlocking the screen. We prefer this to the icon you had to hit on previous versions of iOS. Android does have this icon to select here, but the Nexus will fire the camera from a double tap of the power button. Apple has caught up significantly in how apps are recognized by iOS. Now, so long as developers build in support, sharing options are greatly improved. Google leads here, though, through necessity. As phone updates are largely out of Google's control on most manufacturers' handsets, we've seen substantial parts of the Android OS move to Google Play for more timely updates and bug fixes. While neither operating system will let you completely uninstall core first-party apps, the iPhone might have a few more programs which can't be hidden or disabled. It's curious that you can disable the calendar, iTunes, music, and maps, but news and health are completely untouchable. Pretty much everything is fair game to disable on the Nexus, but we wouldn't expect that to hold true for manufacturer-branded phones. From the home screens, it is kinda funny to see how both companies have arrived at a cards layout for at-a-glance updates to content you might be interested in. And for navigating each interface, Apple is pushing forward with more 3D touch-enabled gestures, which will help streamline interactions from lock screens and notification trays. Though in many ways, this largely just makes up the deficit for only having a home button on the iPhone. Back and multitasking buttons on Android offer a different metaphor for navigation, but one that's been well improved over successive generations of Android. And just another funny difference, while Apple beat Google in delivering true split-screen multitasking on the iPad, that feature doesn't seem to have made its way into the iPhone, and it's something we're stoked to see in Android N, even on the smaller Nexus 5X screen. Looking at a few individual services, Apple's messaging app is still king. Updates here provide richer content and more playful interactions, but the ecosystem is very well refined for organizing instant messages and texts from all of your contacts. Google's still a bit all over the map with Hangouts, Messages, and will be adding Allo and Duo to the mix as separate options. Apple's Photo app takes a big step forward in providing on-device photo scanning and tagging for faster search, and fun features like Memories will sort your content and produce fun short movies to share with your family and friends. But even on an iPhone, Google Photos is still solidly ahead in delivering a prettier app with pinch-to-shift scaling and the assistant to produce your mini-movie memories. It should also be mentioned that the cloud backup for Google Photos is a bit more helpful in offering unlimited high-quality photo uploads, while Apple's photo backup still depends on how much iCloud storage you pay for. Apple Music received a brilliant update in this beta. Simple, big, bold fonts for navigation reminds me a little of the classic Zune UI, and simple tabs move you through new music discovery, curated playlists, and streaming radio. Though music loaded onto the phone from CD rips or from other downloadable services seems to lack album art and support for the new lyrics feature. Play Music's interface is a bit busier, moving options behind a hamburger menu panel, but this app serves as a better catch-all, incorporating podcasts and providing direct options for folks who still like to buy individual music tracks. Those last 2 points fulfilled by separate apps on the iPhone. On a personal note though, this isn't a problem many consumers will face, but as a reviewer, I'm over my limit of authorizations for Play Music for the second time, and I'm kinda tired of fighting Google on letting me listen to my own uploaded tracks. I've been using Groove lately as it's tied directly to my OneDrive, but I digress. We'd be hard-pressed to find much difference between the news apps on both phones. Magazine layouts, lots of photography content, pulling traffic from largely the same sources, they'll both do you fine. Now, Apple delivered some great updates to the iPhone's mapping app, but longtime Google Maps users will be well acquainted with zooming during navigation with traffic reporting, though the new layout for search and points of interest is very pretty. Lastly, Siri is getting smarter. While she still lacks the breadth of commands that Google Now can perform, she is starting to be able to chain commands and search strings. Once developers start incorporating her API, it should be a fun race to see who produces better third-party app integration. By contrast, Google is pushing Now throughout more of Android with Now on tap. Long pressing the home button scans a screen and delivers contextual search results. Though we still long for the day when we're able to interact with apps entirely through voice commands. So let's wrap this up. This was a fun fight. Both Apple and Google are delivering welcome improvements to their respective platforms, but it shouldn't come as any major surprise that we're seeing parity on a number of features. Both companies arriving at similar solutions when addressing similar situations, which is to be expected given the maturity of smartphone computing. Still, we see those slivers of individuality in how each company still manages their ecosystem, and that's where this fight stays interesting. Which beta looks like it's on the better track to you? Hit the more info button on this video to vote in our poll. As always, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to this channel for more coverage of iOS 10 and Android N, and hit that thumbs up button for a little extra positive reinforcement. For Pocketnow, I'm Juan Carlos Bagnell. You can chat me up on Twitter and Instagram as Some Gadget Guy, and I will catch you all on the next comparison. Tell me a joke.